Hola clase, buenos días y feliz viernes. Por fin es viernes. Hoy es el 28 de agosto de 2020 y hoy vamos a contestar preguntas sobre el cuento Ladrillo a Ladrillo en el texto en línea Voces. Y un anuncio muy importante es que tenemos nuestro segundo Google Meet el lunes. A la tercera hora nos reunimos a las 10 de la mañana. La quinta hora o la clase remota tenemos nuestra reunión a las 11:30 y la sexta hora a las 12:15. Mi error. Bien. Y un recuerdo, just a reminder too, if you cannot make our Google Meets, that I do need to hear from you ahead of time as to why not, and there will be a question for you on Google Classroom for you guys, an assignment to do if you cannot make it. Bueno, un recuerdo que estamos en la unidad de las familias y las comunidades. Y ustedes ayer leyeron un cuento que se llama Ladrillo a Ladrillo, Brick by Brick, or it could even be like Brick to Brick. Pero hoy van a contestar preguntas de comprensión escogidos múltiples, so these are multiple choice questions, son 5, y las preguntas de extensión o escritas, so written answers to the extended questions, hay 5. Entonces 10 preguntas en total sobre el cuento Ladrillo a Ladrillo en el texto digital. Just a reminder, para las preguntas escritas, escribe en oraciones completas in español, so we're always writing, whenever we're doing our own writing, we're answering in Spanish and complete sentences in Spanish, but anything that does not look like your work will be returned and will not receive credit. You may use word reference to look up one word or a short phrase at a time, but do not use any other type of translator, translating device, human, nada. Do your best to use your own Spanish. And pay attention to verb tenses and verb endings because the questions that you're going to get are going to have some different verbs and different tenses that you'll have to use in order for them to make sense. Un repaso, just a quick reminder how to get logged in. You'll click Voces Digital, click the green login button at the top right, and you're going to log in through Google Classroom. Also, guys, I can see who has logged in and what times, what you've looked at. So please make sure that you are doing this because I can see if you are not. So log in, but I'm actually already logged in, so it's not going to let me do that. Oops. So for preguntas de comprensión, I'll show you what they look like and we can go over those. So it says actividad 1, preguntas de comprensión. If you didn't know how to get there, up here, this directory, under Unit 1, Las Familias y Comunidades, Ladrillo a Ladrillo, that's our story, el cuento. So we already did preguntas personales. I think we did a Google form for that. Ladrillo a Ladrillo is el cuento, so that's just the story itself that you read yesterday. Y aquí vamos a hacer actividad 1 y actividad 2, preguntas de comprensión y preguntas de extensión. Entonces, las preguntas aquí. Escoge la mejor respuesta. So you're choosing the best answer. ¿Cuál de estas afirmaciones resume mejor la historia? So which of the following affirmations best summarizes the story? So you're going to read through these. You're going to read through all of these possible answers and use your process of elimination. You can scroll up and you can read parts of the story if you need to. Probably have to revisit it. 2. ¿Cuál de estas afirmaciones refleja mejor la opinión de Doña Pilar? So which of these affirmations best reflects Doña Pilar's opinion? So again, you have to have read the story in order to make the best judgment there. ¿Cuál de los siguientes no era un desafío que los niños en la comunidad de Doña Pilar enfrentaban? Which of the following was not we have talked about this word desafío. Here's an example of how if you don't know a word like desafío, you can go to word reference and type that in, but that means a challenge. Which of the following was not a challenge that the children in Doña Pilar's community faced. It looks like enfrente, like in front of. If you're in front of something, you're facing it. So which of these challenges did the kids not face in her community? So this one, even I had to go back through the story and do my process of elimination, because after having just read it once, I had to go back and remind myself, okay, so they mentioned this kid had this problem, this kid had that problem, and then I was left with the one that was not mentioned, and so I knew that was my answer. ¿Cuál de estas afirmaciones es correcta? So which of the following is correct? Again, this one, I didn't really catch on to the answer until I went back and reread it, and looked for each of these answers. So as I reread it, if I noticed that one of them, that the story mentions something about that specific answer, then I would cross it out if it was incorrect. And ¿a qué se refería Beto Fernández cuando dijo compartíamos la casa con las ratas y los ladrones? So what did Beto Fernández, so this is one of the men that speaks in the story, what did he refer to when he said, we used to share the house with rats and thieves? So what did he mean by that? So you'll click Save and Submit, and then move on to Actividad 2, Preguntas de Extensión. I'll add that they're Actividad 1 y Actividad 2 in your PowerPoint description. So again, Preguntas de Extensión, these are your open-ended questions that you're going to write your answer to. Again, you can read through the story to revisit that. And hay 5 preguntas de nuevo. I'm not going to give a sentence number for each of these because I just want you, like for example, number 4, why did he say this? That's really a one-word answer. I'm sorry, one sentence answer is good enough for that. Number 5, what would he say? It might not be a full 5 sentences, but in some of these, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to the length of your answer. It needs to completely answer whatever the question is asking. So, número 1. Según esta historia, ¿cuáles son las consecuencias de la pobreza? Menciona ejemplos específicos de la historia. Según is a word that we need to know. We're going to see it a lot this year. It means according to. So, according to this story, what are the consequences of poverty? Pardon. So again, you'll have to revisit the story to kind of pull from the story of things that they mention that these children suffered from or had to deal with because of la pobreza. Because it says, menciona ejemplos específicos de la historia. When it says mention specific examples from the story, remember that I ask for you to put it in your own words. So please do not copy word for word from the story. Look at what it says and reword it with your own Spanish on how you would explain it to a friend. 2. Muchas personas llevan ladrillos al funeral y los ponen debajo de la foto de Doña Pilar. ¿Qué se podría, notice your verb ending, ría, hacer con los ladrillos para honrar su memoria? So many people carry bricks to the funeral, and they put them under the photo of Doña Pilar. And Doña, if you forgot, just means like Mrs., but it's like for an older person. And what could be done, or what could they do with the bricks in order to honor her memory? So, se podría is like in general what could be done. So you can use the conditional to say that they could do something. Se podría, followed by an infinitive, explain something they could do with those bricks. Elige un personaje de la historia y describe su vida actual, como si no hubiera asistido a la escuela Esperanza, La Esperanza. So this is the name of the school in the story. And it says, choose a character from the story and describe his or her it looks like actual life, it means current life. As if he or she hadn't attended the school. So, como si no hubiera asistido. That is a very complex verb tense here. That is imperfect subjunctive. So, como si means as if. No hubiera asistido would be he or she had not attended. So, I want you to think about, okay, the story mentions, I think there's cuatro personas maybe that speak on behalf of their experience with Doña Pilar y la escuela. So I want you to think about if this person hadn't attended this school, their life would be this way. He or she would do this or would be this way. Their life would be XYZ. So this is one that you want to explain and you want to really prove to me that you read the story and explain why you think their life would be that way had they not attended her school. ¿Por qué le dijo Doctor Arturo, Doña Pilar, al padre de Claudia cuando este llegó a su casa? So why did Doña Pilar call him Doctor Arturo? So there's a moment that Arturo explains when Doña Carmen called him Doctor Arturo. So why did she call him that? And why did she call Claudia's dad Doctor Arturo? Ay, perdón, necesito una siesta. When he arrived at her house. So there was a moment in the story where where Arturo, el padre de Pilar, explica una historia de Doña Pilar. So when he's telling this story, explain why she called him that when he had arrived at her house in his little anecdote in his story. In his story within the story. There's lots of little stories within this story. And ¿qué diría el cura para concluir el servicio? What would the priest, el cura, the priest, what would he say in order to conclude the service? So again, this is conditional. Would say ria, diría. That's a little irregular because it comes from decir. Notice the DEC changes to DI. So it's not deciría, but diría. So what would he say to conclude the service? Hey, ¿ustedes están cansados? Ha sido una semana larga, ¿no? So give me an example. The priest would say and explain a way that he would conclude the service based on what you have read and understood. So you'll save and submit. That's all we're going to do for today. Escríbeme si tienen preguntas o mándame un Google Hangout. Don't forget Google Meet on Monday. Let me know if for some reason you can't attend and be on the lookout for your assignment on Monday if you cannot. Que tengan muy buen fin de semana, chicos.